My name's Gio and I'm a trainer and assessor for Fit Education. What I'm going to be doing today is going through a series of questions that have come in from our students. The first question that we have is from Sophie, and Sophie asks, what's the best type of training to burn fat? Which is a very interesting question because some have this think about it as we use strength training or conditioning. It may even be stretching. So today I'm just going to go through some sort of evidence-based research that's gone on which is probably the best or the most efficient or beneficial way of burning fat. So one of the ways of burning fat is in general to do some sort of training is conditioning type training. So that could be running, doing something on a rowing machine, on a treadmill, some sort of higher intensity training, gets the heart and lungs going. Now what this does, elevates our body temperature, elevates our heart rate, and burns a lot of fuel, a lot of energy. So when we do those type of trainings, and you've probably felt that, after you finish a session, let's say if it was a running session, like an interval type training session, you feel that your heart rate's going, and your body then is burning a lot of energy at rest, like after you're finishing, the next couple of hours even. So your ability to burn those calories for a prolonged period of time. So that there in general, we're burning a lot of energy, and that also includes fat. Now that type of energy or that type of training burns a lot of carbohydrates because it's in high intensity. So we've got to be careful not to go too high intensity. So something around about that 60% of our maximum heart rate is probably the most ideal. So keeping in that fat burning range. Another good way of doing it is to do strength training or hypertrophy training, so to put on muscle. People that are more muscular tend to burn more energy at rest. So not just during the training, but then after the training. So the best way there is to do a bit of both. So you want to increase your muscle mass, so get that furnace going. So our muscles are a furnace for burning fuel. So days you can do some strength training, try to build some muscle, and then also do some conditioning. Now that can be high intensity training or some more that slow progressive aerobic training. So Sophie, to answer your question, both are the best way. Now, there is other forms of training, but using a mixed method training of both of those types of training is probably the best. Okay, so thanks again for your question. Ollie today has asked, do muscles turn into fat if you stop exercising? Well, Ollie, that is a very good question because we do see different type of people in different sports. For an example, like athletes who are quite muscular, very fit looking. When they stop their career, they tend to put on a lot of fat, or it appears that they're putting on a lot of fat. So what is happening there? Are they actually putting on fat? Are they losing muscle? Or in fact, what this says is that muscles turn into fat. Now I can say that is a myth because muscles are a tissue and fat are a tissue. So they don't turn into one another. They are separate. Okay, so what does occur there though, looking at how we increase the fat cells or fat tissue, is that what can appear is that we have our skin layer, we have our fat underneath, and then we have our muscle. Now, when we lose fat, our skin gets a little bit closer to our muscle and appears more defined, or the word might be toned. So you look quite muscular. Now, we do a lot of training and we exercise and we keep active. We keep our muscles burning and fuel, and we keep maintaining our body fat at a low level, which is great. When we stop training, everything sort of slows down a bit. So potentially it could be that you're eating more and things like that, but you're eating more, but you're not training as much. And you can start to put on more fat. Okay, so our fat then increases, our fat tissue. So our muscle mass also, because we're not training, starts to then decrease. So they're losing that analogy, as I said before. We still have our skin, we have more body fat, less muscle, and we appear to be put on more weight, or we could carrying more fat. So to answer your question, Ollie, muscles do not turn into fat. It's just that we can increase or decrease one another, making your body appear in a different shape is probably the best way to explain it. So thanks again, Ollie, for writing in. I hope that answers your question. Thank you. Hi, I'm Gio. I'm a trainer and assessor at Fit Education, and I've got a question. Patrick actually has written in today asking a question that he thought that might be wanting to answer to help him with his course or with his study. And what Patrick's written is, what would you say is the most important skill a good PT or personal trainer should have? Patrick, that's a very good question. I myself have taken many personal training courses through the Cert 4 in Fitness and the Diploma of Fitness, and that definitely is, I've seen many different students go through. Now, some students are really good at the practical of coaching exercises, demonstrating, but others aren't necessarily. But what I find is probably the most important trait to have, or skill, is communication, and ability to have good rapport with people. Okay, so yes, you need to have the foundation skills and ability to make sure people are doing the exercise correctly and program accordingly and be safe with them. But you are always you're in a customer service business. Personal training is customer service. You have clients, want those clients to keep coming back to you. It can be a business, obviously. So you need to have that good communication. You need to be able to relate to people, greet them. Whilst you're training them, you almost have to show some sort of relationship that you could be humor, it could be relatability to something that you have in common, and you need to be talking. Now, mind you, not talking necessarily whilst they're doing something like a heavy squat or a deadlift, but definitely keeping that person, making them feel comfortable in their environment. Because remember, a lot of people that come to a personal trainer are asking you for help. So you're helping them keep on track, you're keeping them accountable. So you want them to have a really positive experience while they're with you. So I would say relatability, communication is probably one of the most important skills to have. Hope that was very helpful, Patrick. Thanks for inviting me.